hesitated for a long time about whether I should write this down at all. My hands are shaking, my thoughts are tangled, and even now I'm not sure I'll be able to tell everything to the end. But if I don't do it, everything that happened will turn into just another rumor, another story people will whisper about, shrug their shoulders at, and say, "Guess he couldn't handle it." I want people to know the truth, not for pity, but for understanding. I suppose I should start with myself. My name is David. I'm 35 years old. I had a wife, Laura, and a 14-year-old son named Maxim. We had a 3-room apartment, 2 cars. My wife and I earned an average income, and overall we lived a happy life. Until a certain point. This nightmare began 2 months ago when I was leaving my building and getting ready to go to work. As I passed by, I noticed an open manhole. It bothered me a little, but I didn't think much of it, and, like a law-abiding and decent citizen, I simply closed it. I worked until 5 in the evening and returned home around 6. My wife, as usual, was cooking something in the kitchen, and my son was doing his homework in his room. Then we sat down at the table to eat, and after dinner we heard a knock at the door. "Who could that be?" Laura said. "It's my friend," our son said. "We planned to go out with him and some of the neighborhood kids." We opened the door, and sure enough, his friend Sam was standing there. He was a good kid. I knew his family. "Did you finish your homework?" my wife asked. "Yes, Mom," our son replied. "Then go. Just don't leave the playground and don't stray from your friends," Laura said. Our son gathered his things, took his phone, and left with his friend. We were only glad. Better for him to go outside and get some fresh air than rot at home. He should have stayed home. Time passed quickly. It was already 11 p.m. We decided to wait another 20 minutes, but our son didn't come back. We looked out into the yard. The playground was empty. My wife called our son, but he didn't answer. That's when we started to panic. I called Sam's parents, but they said the kids had returned home 20 minutes earlier. I asked them where our son was then. Sam's mother called him to the phone, and he said that Max had been with them the whole time, and that they walked him to our building and then went to a neighboring one. Hearing this, I got nervous, put on my jacket, and went outside, trying to call out to Max, but he didn't respond. I returned home and called the police, and the patrol arrived quickly. After that, everything went by the book. Some officers questioned us and the neighbors. Others searched the area, calling out his name, but no one responded that evening. The police filed a missing person report and promised to send a K-9 unit the next morning. My wife was on edge, but I tried to calm her down, saying that the police would figure everything out. They were professionals. The next morning, a unit with dogs did arrive. They were given our son's hat to smell, but it led nowhere. The dogs walked back and forth around the playground, but when they approached that same manhole, they began to whine. When the officers tried to pull them closer, the dogs started barking and lunging at the police. One officer said he had never seen dogs behave like that before, and that this was something new to him. It was as if the child had vanished into thin air. The manhole was slightly open, but at the time I didn't pay attention to it, and that was a huge mistake. The police shrugged and said they would continue the search. And it was from the moment my son disappeared that strange things began to happen. Days passed, but there was no call from the police. On the 4th day, there was a knock at our door. We opened it with hope, but it was Sam's mother standing there. In tears, she asked if we had seen her son, and later it turned out that her son had disappeared as well. The boy was returning home from school in the evening, and after entering our yard, simply vanished. Everything was the same as when our son disappeared. Neighbors searching and calling his name, police arriving, reports being filed, dogs searching. But Sam, just like Max, was gone. After a week, my wife suffered a nervous breakdown and was hospitalized. Then, every week, children from the neighborhood began to disappear. Over 4 weeks, 8 children vanished, and all the cases happened exclusively in the evening. The police tried to do something, but without any results. During those weeks, I began to notice something strange. Every morning when I left for work, the manhole was slightly open, and every evening it was closed. Back then, it didn't immediately occur to me, idiot that I was, that the problem was that damn manhole. At the time, I was only worried about my wife and son. After the children disappeared, neighbors stopped letting their kids play outside and always walked them home from school. The atmosphere in the neighborhood changed. Everyone started treating each other with suspicion. It would have continued like that if I hadn't made one reckless but ultimately correct decision. One evening, returning from work, I noticed that same manhole again, and it was open. This time, I didn't just walk past it. I went home, put my things down, got dressed, took my phone, a flashlight, some chalk, and decided to climb down into the manhole. It was dark in the sewer, but the flashlight helped me orient myself. To avoid getting lost, I began drawing arrows on the walls. I walked for about 15 minutes and was already planning to give up when I heard a splash. Then another, as if someone were walking barefoot through the water. I wanted to call out, but something stopped me. Instead, I moved toward the sound and discovered this. Turning the corner, I saw a pile of bodies in the distance, and next to them stood a figure wearing my son's jacket. It was holding someone's arm and greedily eating it. Overcome with emotion, I shouted, "What the hell are you doing, you freak?" The figure turned to face me, and my hair stood on end as my skin went pale. What stood before me only vaguely resembled a human. The creature's skin looked stretched tight. There were no eyes at all, and where its mouth should have been, rotten teeth were visible. The thing growled, then screamed in a distorted, childlike voice and lunged at me. I ran. Thank God the arrows helped me navigate. The creature ran on all fours like a dog, leaping and trying to close the distance. Time slowed down, and I don't remember how I reached the ladder. But once I climbed out, I immediately called the police. The patrol arrived within 5 minutes. During those 5 minutes, I stood there shaking in shock. And then I heard a piercing, distorted, childlike scream. The creature, apparently having lost me, screamed in rage. The police arrived and I told them everything. At first, they didn't believe me and seemed ready to take me in for questioning. But then they heard the scream. They exchanged uneasy glances. Then 3 of them went down into the sewer, while the 4th filled out paperwork, asked for my number and address, and said he would contact me. After sitting in my kitchen for an hour, I heard police sirens and, looking out the window, saw an ambulance and 2 police cars arrive. Then the officer who had taken my statement called and said he would come up in 20 minutes. When I opened the door, I saw a completely different person. There was nothing left of the young man who had taken my statement earlier. Instead, I saw a man pale as paper, who looked like he had aged 20 years. He asked for some tea and then, after introducing himself, told me what had happened. According to his colleague, this is what occurred. So we went down into that damn sewer and started following the arrows our client left. I was walking in the back, so I got off the easiest. We're walking, chatting, thinking the poor guy just lost his mind from grief, when we hear footsteps. We turn the corner, and there it is. The thing was standing with its back to us and didn't notice us right away, but even then we knew something was wrong. In front of us was a man on all fours, wearing a child's jacket that was clearly too small for him, twitching unnaturally. We called out, identified ourselves as law enforcement, and ordered it to stand up and raise its hands. The creature turned toward us, grinning with its rotten, unnatural teeth, and then lunged at the officer in front. My partner and I opened fire and emptied our magazines into it. The thing screeched and disappeared around the corner into the darkness, where we didn't dare follow. There was nothing we could do for the officer. The, The, monster tore his throat out, and he died quickly.
'Cause, 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 'c
We decided not to go any further and instead called for backup and an ambulance. When backup and the ambulance arrived, my partner was taken away as well. He'd suffered a heart attack from what he saw. After listening to Peter, the officer who questioned me, we talked for another 20 minutes, and then he said, "Well, I'd better go. I still have reports to file. Just so you know, you may be called in as a witness." "All right, Peter. And what about the officer who told you all this?" "He's down there, finishing up the report." In the end, the children were pulled out, already dead. Some had been completely gnawed on. Some had already begun to rot. Their bodies looked horrific, limbs broken, some missing entirely. 2 of them couldn't even be identified. One of the cops who witnessed everything came up, patted me on the shoulder sympathetically and said, "I'm really sorry, sir. I really thought you'd lost your mind." After that, he left, and I remained standing there, frozen in place. The children were buried 3 days later. Neighbors cried. Many parents of the dead children, and even curious strangers, came by and asked what I had seen. I told everything exactly as it happened, without lying. Many believed me, while some skeptics thought I had gone insane, expressed sympathy, and left. My wife couldn't survive our son's death and passed away a month later from grief. Now I live alone. No one cooks. No one makes noise. 2 months have passed, and I still can't recover from what happened. The manhole no longer opens. The creature has apparently changed locations, realizing it had been discovered. I don't know how to live anymore, and I think my time has come. The only warning I can give is this: never let your children go out in the evenings, and be especially vigilant if a manhole suddenly starts opening, because who knows what might be living down there.